All right, let's dive into one of the shortest, but maybe one of the most powerful and personal letters ever written. We're talking about a 2,000-year-old piece of mail that packs in this incredible, high-stakes human drama. It's all about a runaway slave, his wealthy master, and an imprisoned apostle trying to navigate a genuine life-or-death situation. You know, when you boil it all down, this entire story hinges on one really tough question. How do you ask someone to forgive something that feels, well, unforgivable? And not just forgive, but to completely rewire a relationship from one of master and property to one of actual love and equality. That is the massive challenge right at the center of this letter. So, to get our bearings, we're in the first century Roman Empire. Over here, you've got Rome, this huge, sprawling city where a guy on the run might hope to just vanish into the crowd. And then, hundreds and hundreds of miles away, over in what's now Turkey, you have the city of Colossae. That's the home our fugitive fled from. That huge distance alone tells you this was a dangerous journey, and the return trip, even more so. To really understand just how unbelievably tense this whole situation is, you have to start with the fugitive himself. His name is Onesimus, and by running away, he has literally put his life on the line. And here's the thing you've got to get. Roman law was absolutely not on his side. An owner had total, unquestioned power over their slaves. They were legally considered property, nothing more. A runaway who got caught could expect severe punishment, maybe even execution. So for Onesimus to even consider going back, he's willingly walking into a situation where his master holds the power of life and death over him. So let's meet the three key players at the heart of this drama, whose lives are about to get tangled up forever because of this one letter. First up, you've got Philemon. He's a rich, influential Christian leader back in Colossae. He's the master, the one who's been wronged here. Then, of course, there's Onesimus, his slave who took off, and now, through a twist of fate, needs to ask for forgiveness. And the person connecting them both? The Apostle Paul. And get this, he's writing from a Roman prison, stepping in to act as the mediator, trying to pull off this radical, almost impossible reconciliation. Now, Paul knows he can't just storm in and command Philemon to forgive Onesimus. That could totally backfire. So instead, what he does is craft this brilliant, carefully layered appeal. It's a true masterclass in the art of persuasion. And this is absolutely crucial. Paul actually has the spiritual authority to just order Philemon to do this, but he doesn't. He makes a choice. He says, I would rather appeal to you on the basis of love. He makes himself vulnerable, pointing out that he's an old man, a prisoner. He's changing the whole dynamic from a command you have to obey to a heartfelt request between friends. So how does he do it? Well, his strategy is pretty amazing. It unfolds in 4 steps. First, he starts by praising Philemon, talking up his reputation for love and faith, basically reminding him of the best version of himself. Second, he calls Onesimus my child, which reframes this from a legal issue to a really personal family matter. Third, he drops in some seriously clever wordplay. And finally, he puts his money where his mouth is. And this wordplay is just genius. Okay, so the name Onesimus literally means useful in Greek. So Paul makes this little pun saying, hey, this slave who was once useless to you by running away is now incredibly useful to me, and he can be for you too. And he even gives a subtle nudge to Philemon, whose name means affectionate, kind of reminding him to, well, be affectionate. It's such a clever, personal way to soften his heart. So all of this careful, persuasive groundwork has been leading up to this one moment, the climax of the letter. It's a request so radical, so completely countercultural, that it would have been an absolute shock to anyone reading it in the first century. This, right here, is the heart of the whole thing. Paul doesn't just ask Philemon to take Onesimus back. He asked him to welcome him no longer as a slave, but more than a slave, as a dear brother. I mean, in a society that was built on these rigid social hierarchies, this was revolutionary. It was a call to see a person not for their legal status, but for their new identity. So let's be super clear here. This isn't just about wiping the slate clean. Paul is pushing for a total, fundamental shift in how Philemon sees this person. He's asking him to look at the man he legally owned as property and instead see a spiritual equal, a brother. This is about transformation, not just a simple transaction. And then, to seal the deal, Paul makes this incredible offer. He says, look, if Onesimus stole anything, if he cost you money by running away, whatever he owes you, just charge it to my account. I'll pay for it. Paul, a guy in prison with basically nothing, is offering to personally absorb the cost of the crime. It's such a powerful picture of what real forgiveness looks like. After this incredible appeal, this masterclass in persuasion, the letter just ends. And that leaves us with this huge question mark, a powerful silence that has echoed for 2,000 years. So what happened? Did Philemon do it? Did he actually forgive Onesimus and welcome him home as a brother? The letter doesn't tell us. The reply, if there ever was one, is lost to history. But here's the big clue. We might not have the reply, but we do have the letter. And the very fact that this deeply personal, private note was saved, that it was copied, and that it was passed around the early churches, well, that's our best evidence that Philemon said yes. Because let's be honest, you don't save and share a letter that highlights your own failure to forgive. Its very survival screams that its message of reconciliation won the day. And, Paul was a pretty smart operator. He didn't just leave it all to chance. He added a little bit of, let's call it, gentle pressure. He addressed the letter not just to Philemon, but to his whole church that met in his house, which kind of made the decision a community issue. Then he casually mentions he's planning to visit soon. So, Philemon would eventually have to look Paul in the eye and explain what he decided. It's subtle, but it's brilliant. So why are we still talking about this short 2,000-year-old letter about a personal dispute? What's it got to do with us? Well, because its core message about forgiveness and reconciliation is just completely timeless. The story of Onesimus isn't about getting a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's the exact opposite. He's sent back to face his past, but he goes back with this radical new hope for a different future. The letter basically argues that true reconciliation isn't about pretending a wrong didn't happen. It's about empowering someone to do what this quote says, to face his past and to rise above it. And all of this leaves us with a question to chew on. Paul, remember, had the authority to just command Philemon, but he chose a different way. He chose to appeal to love. And this ancient drama really challenges us to think about our own conflicts. When do we need to put aside the direct command and realize that a gentle appeal, one made from a place of love, is actually the most powerful tool we have? It's a question worth thinking about.